Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Reardon, and I'll be your life coach this evening. So today we're going to be continuing with my agenda. So the agenda I like to follow is talking about my blog on Monday, talking about a book on Wednesday, and then on Friday, either continuing with either of the talks, both of the talks, or of an interview I have done in that week. And the interviews will be with several professionals in their respective careers. So a life coach, health coach, relationship coach, etc. So that's what I'm doing, right? I'm talking to people, getting a better understanding of what's going on in their world because they're experts in their field, and rightfully so. So if they're able to endow with me some wisdom, then I'm going to say, all right, cool. All of that is happening. All that is good. Thank you, Huss, for the follow again. So we're going to be talking about a book that I recommend for anyone who is in a traditional relationship. So what does a traditional relationship mean? Well, a traditional relationship basically is saying a man is going to provide, keep everyone safe. Not saying that the woman can't, right? But we're being traditional. And the woman is going to take care of the house and the kids, right? Stay at home wife type of thing. So can this work if someone wants to not be traditional? Maybe, right? It's very possible it could work. But what I recommend is to have that type of mindset going into this. Because if you do, then you're going to understand one thing, and that thing is going to be, all right, if I want this relationship to work, I have to understand my position. What role do you play in the relationship? Because I find that in relationships, or when people are in relationships, their role is not definitive. That's why the modern girl independent movement is so bad for women in general when they want to have a relationship. And it's not saying that they can't have a relationship and be a modern woman. It's more so of their mindset. They're saying in their mind, well, if he starts acting wrong, I'm going to leave him. Rightfully so, right? I'm not saying to stay with someone who's not acting right, but what I will say is if you're going to have that type of mindset, the moment that thought comes in your mind, even if it's an idea or just a passing, fantasy that, went in your mind, you say, okay, well, I thought about it. Maybe you think about it again and then again. And then eventually that becomes your truth. And that becomes your goal. You don't want to be in a relationship where you're thinking about getting out of the relationship. You want to be in a relationship where I feel like I want to be in this relationship. You want to feel loved. You want to feel wanted, and you want to feel like the relationship is going to produce something. And if you don't get that feeling, then you're going to leave. Men will leave a relationship because of that, but it's less so because men have a harder time when it comes to attaining women. And this is for talking about the whole male population, right? Because I'm sure 20 to 25% of men can get women without any issues, right? No problem. They got the money, they got the skills, the confidence, whatever. They got it, and they can get the girl. But not every man is going to be like that. So if not every man's going to be like that, then that means, let's say 75% of men are going to say, well, I'm in a relationship and I know how difficult it was to get a relationship or start a relationship. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stay in my relationship even if I'm not 100% satisfied. That's why women initiate more divorces. That's why women leave relationships sooner than men do. You really have to mess up if a man is saying, all right, baby girl, you're done. And that's typically with cheating, maybe something with finances, like something big. You have to really mess up. So if you mess up, his favorite shirt, maybe, maybe that was the last straw, but typically he's gonna say, okay, well, whatever, just be more careful next time or something like that. But the book, it's called Love and Respect. And we're going to be getting into that. So I actually own the book. I don't have the book with me because for some reason, when I have a book that's good or I recommend, I'm always first to lend it out. So someone has my book, my hard copy of that book. And not necessarily that I need the book because I don't need to reread it, but it's always a good reference tool when dealing with problems in your relationships, because there's some key points we're going to take away. And I'm not overly religious, I'm not overly political. You might hear me do little quips of things, but I'm not going to make a firm stand of this is going to be this, because in those two categories, I do have firm stands in other areas, but political and religion, I'm going to say, hey, you're going to believe what you're going to believe, and that's cool with me. If you want to try to shove your rhetoric down my throat, you can try. It's not going to work. It's kind of like a Jehovah's Witness knocking on my door on Saturday morning. I'll talk to them for an hour, but I'm not going to, convert to their religion. No. I'm just a sociable person. So just understanding that. Because when we get into the book, there is a religious aspect to it. And rightfully so, because being a traditional type marriage stems from olden days and days where religion was very prominent. Households were raised to have a certain type of religion, and they believed in their religion. So for me, I was born and raised Catholic. And in that type of household, you're taught the commandments, all the, like the golden rule, the Bible, right? All those things to make you a better person. And when it comes to relationship, marriage, right, it talks about no matter what, you're going to be there for that person, right? Through thick and thin, right? That's why in marriage vows, till death do us part. But 50% of marriages end before death. It's interesting because those vows must not mean anything to someone if they're going to say them and then not do them, because 50% of people are not doing it. So a large majority of people are either A, not caring about religion, or B, not understanding what a relationship should entail. And I think it's the latter. I think it's a little bit of both. But we're going to get into this book called Love and Respect. So this book here is a book I actually found at a thrift store. I was perusing the book aisle, and it was a book that I was like, I think I'm going to get this book. And I did read about the author and a little bit about the book, and it was a religious book, and I said, I don't know if I really want to be dealing with a religious book, but I said, let me give it a shot. And the author, he is, I believe, some type of pastor, minister, or he's a leader of a congregation or something similar to that. And he has helped several marriages come from the grave. So they were on the brink of divorce. They were fighting. They weren't happy. And he found a way to make them see what the problem was. And the things I'm going to share with you are going to be just the main points of the story of the book, because I do understand what he's trying to say. Some of the things I do agree with. Some of the things I might not incorporate into my own relationship or relationships. Because what he's talking about is like a 50-50 type of deal. He's saying that men and women see the world differently. He's 100% true there. Men and women are also not equal. Equal in the sense of their body type. A man cannot give birth no matter how hard he tries. Okay? That's not fair, right? That's not equal. How about if a man hits a woman? Man's going to jail. But if a woman hits a man, the police will ask him, would you like to press charges? And she'll probably just have to go sleep at the sister's house, or maybe the man will have to get out. Who knows? Depends on the situation, if there's kids involved. But it's almost comical how we fight for equality and then we get like wage equality, rights equality, all of those things, but yet they try to, the equality movement, make men and women equal, 100% equal, and that just won't be the case, because women are better at certain things and men are better at certain things. That's just how life is. That's how we were made up. Men typically tend to be stronger. And there is going to be a small group of women who can compete on a high level with some men. And there's going to be men who can't do half of the things that some women can do. Maybe like certain gymnastics, or if it's dealing with childcare, whatever. That's going to require a certain type of finesse, right? A certain type of care, certain hand, whether it be a womanly touch or a manly touch. That's going to be dependent on the situation, on the job. So understanding that part, because that part is essential when going into love and respect. He talks about how men see the world, right? And he says men see the world through blue-colored glasses, I believe is what he said. And women see the world through rose-colored glasses. And when a woman sees a situation, she's going to see it slightly different. Not the same as the man, it's going to be slightly different. Because when you put different color glasses on, your perspective changes. You start to see things for what they are, but your way. So here we have just some orange tinted glasses. So just imagine a woman has a rose-colored pair and men have a blue-colored pair. And if you wanted to say girls had the blue-colored pair and guys had the rose-colored pair, I don't really care. But I'm just telling you what the book said. But having those different perspectives can cause some type of friction. Because if the woman is saying, I want this and I need this, and the man is saying or seeing, okay, well, I'm going to be able to do that, and he does it his way because that's how he sees it, and you're not satisfied, or the man is not satisfied because you're doing something different, who's really at fault? Is it the other person because they don't know how to put their life in a different role or put on a different pair of glasses to see the world the way you see the world. And it's not even the case where you need to see the world the way that they are seeing the world in order to have a successful relationship. It's not necessary. However, when you're dealing with a relationship, you should do your best to understand where they're coming from. Because if you don't, you're going to fail at that relationship. And the reason I say you're going to fail at the relationship is because you're not understanding what makes this person tick. What type of drive does this person have? Does this person like, cuddling? Does this person like going to work all day and then coming home and relaxing? Massage, food cooked, etc. Like, who is this person? And I think people call that love language. What is your love language? And if someone doesn't know your love language, what do? Do you tell them? Do you hope they finally understand? Or do you just give up and say, he's never going to, or she's never going to love me this way. I'm just going to take what I get. So if it is the latter, or a little bit of both, or all three, you're going to choose one of those and run with it. All right, I'm going to teach him, and you keep trying to teach him, and then you get frustrated. Oh, he never learns. All right, maybe you're just going to give up totally and just say, you know what, whatever. He's never going to be able to do it this way. And you're just miserable. So both causes turmoil. Both will cause an influx in your emotions where you're going to have a trigger response, where you're going to be upset, sad, depressed, whatever you're going to feel. And this is for he or she, because it can happen both ways. And the book not only talks about seeing the relationship in a different perspective or understanding someone's love language, but it talks about what women need and what men need. And this is where I have a little difference, because in love and respect, I do believe a relationship needs both love and respect. But he's saying that a man needs more respect than a woman needs respect. So if a man needs more respect than a woman, what will cause a relationship to fail? If the man gives the woman all the love she needs and the woman gives all the respect she needs to the man. And I started thinking, right? Well, a man can love a woman and cheat on her. Very true. Because men are able to separate our feelings when it comes to relations with the opposite sex. Because we just have a goal in mind. And that's just to release our energy. We'll call it that. Because we're not worried about making love to them. We're not worried about making sure they're satisfied. We're just making sure we're good. I don't necessarily have to love someone to sleep with them. Is that true for the opposite sex? I think yes and no. I think like has to be there somewhat. Like the other person has to like them. Men, they're dirty dogs. They'll take what they can get. So don't think that if a man cheats on you, he doesn't love you. because he does love you, or he might love you. And the fact that he cheats doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I can never love this man again. But then we get into respect. Okay? How can a woman love a man who cheated on her? It's very difficult because there's going to be some type of disdain in your mind saying, I can't respect this man because he stepped out, etc., etc. But if a woman did that and stepped out, now it's disrespectful because the man wants respect, but the woman wants love. So is it true that both men and women need love and respect? Or is it necessary for the man just to get respect and the woman just to get love? Because in that theory of the woman just getting love and the man just getting respect, there's going to be some discrepancies. Because if the woman doesn't feel love, she will not respect the man. And if a man is not respected, he will not love the woman. And in our whole modern woman movement, in our own new era gentleman movement, where relationships are a passing glance. Let's see where this goes. Let's have some fun. Maybe we'll sleep together. Maybe we won't. I don't care. But at the end of the day, you're over there, I'm over here. And if we meet back up, cool. If not, cool. Relationships are not as needed in our current era, in our current time. That's why the birth rate is going down. And it's not necessarily so much of what the world is and women are deciding to have a career first and then have kids at a later time. It's not so much about that. It's more so about the ability to do so. Because you can have the ability to do so and still have kids at an early age and then continue with your life. It's what society's teaching you. That's where we're having our dilemmas. Society is telling us one thing, and then all of a sudden, now we're being hit with another thing. Reality. Because sometimes what is going on in the world is not necessarily what needs to be going on in our life. The same thing is true in our relationships. We are not necessarily saying that, oh, I'm doing the right thing for my relationship. And everything's going to be okay because I love my person or I respect my person. It's not that. So if it's not that, what is it? And the book had a great analogy for when there is trouble in a relationship. And they call this the crazy cycle. And the crazy cycle is unavoidable. The crazy cycle will happen whether you like it or not in your relationship. You could be married one day or 100 years, you're going to be dealing with the crazy cycle. It does not matter. Now, what you want for the crazy cycle is to have it be less frequent. If you're fighting every day, every week, every month, maybe it's time to understand what are the triggers that create that crazy cycle. Because if you can understand the triggers to not having arguments, then you can have more time to love and respect each other. And you can understand what this person is thinking and how they're seeing the world with their colored glasses. And then make a choice. And it was very simple. with our traditional marriages. Men protected and provided, women stayed at home, took care of the house and the kids. And I understand that when a woman does that, it takes away her ability to leave if she wants to or needs to. It takes away some of her freedom because she's almost stuck in that relationship because this person is basically taking care of her. And that is why women wanted to get out and work so they can have their own money, so they could have their own house, own car. They didn't have to borrow their husbands anymore. They can simply say, all right, I'm going out. See you later. Because at that point, it was no concern of the man. And then the women are now taking on the role of now they're going out, now taking care of the house. Maybe they are, right? I'm not saying that they are going to be unable to do so, but they're not going to be doing it at the standard they were doing it beforehand because that's all they were doing. And being a stay-at-home mother or stay-at-home wife, it's not an easy job. I know it. Cooking, cleaning, shopping, kids, homework, all that stuff. It's a lot. And work can be stressful too. So if you top work on all that, it becomes more difficult. And I'm not saying that it can't be done because it's done every single day. And there's single mothers who do a great job with several kids who are able to handle their business because they rise to the occasion. They don't simply say, well, my baby daddy ain't nothing, and now what? I'm just going to be upset that he ain't nothing and nothing's going to happen. Usually they handle their business. They do what is needed. And though they may not be as happy as they want to be, that's the life that they have. And there's a lot of sacrifices that are made in that type of relationship. So this is on a side point. Be very careful who you have kids with. And I know in Texas, I live in Texas, and there's the whole abortion thing going on. Do not lay with someone you wouldn't mind having a kid with. It is that simple. Do not lay with anyone you do not want to have a kid with. And if you do, and you need to hop over to Mississippi or Tennessee, you could do so. But the rule of thumb, if you're having relationships with or relations with someone, don't lay with anyone you wouldn't want to have a kid with. That's going to solve a lot of problems. And I know the modern woman will have a nice guy wait, but a masculine guy who has all the things that she wants, she will give it up sooner, maybe on the first night. So there's a difference. A guy you like versus the guy you need. And the girl that you get, right? It could be any quality, or the girl you deserve. So that's just a little bit about relationships, but getting back into the book of love and respect. So if love and respect is not what you need in a relationship, or not the only things you need in a relationship, the number one thing would be communication. And I already talked about communication. And you need about 90 minutes a week of communication with your partner. So if you're not getting that type of communication, then the relationship is going to be doomed to fail. And there's certain no-nos that I tell men not to do in relationships. I don't have any no-nos for women because I don't necessarily know what they should stay away from. I will say women should stay away from bum-ass niggas, because if they do not, guess what? It's kind of like, I don't know how this happened. You do know how this happened. If a man doesn't deserve your time, your attention, do not give it to him. He has not deserved it. What has he done for himself to get your attention? And I understand it's a lot more difficult for a man to get a woman's attention. But what you see on the outside is not necessarily what he has on the inside. And I'm not saying you wait 90 days like Steve Harvey says, because I don't think that's necessarily correct either. You have to be able to vet someone by having a conversation with them. You need to develop at least 3 questions that's going to identify the value of that said person. And that's what I did. I developed a series of questions that I would ask my date when we were starting the dating process. And I was easily able to identify if I wanted to pursue a relationship with this person. There wasn't any, oh, I have to wait 90 days until I understand if I like this person or not. Because even if you had relations on the first day, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to not have a relationship with you. Because if you have the type of mindset they're looking for, you have maybe all the physical attributes that they care for, they admire, they like, they're going to keep you around. So it doesn't matter how soon you lay with them. It matters that you lay with the right person. And if you're 18 to 26, that's that gray area where they might be serious about a relationship, but they also might be flaky. So they'll have a relationship, but they won't be in it for the long term. And or if you have a child at that age, who knows if they're going to leave when the kids leave? They're going to say, the kids finally left, I'm gone too. I've seen that happen several times. And it's crazy to me how someone who is with someone for 20 plus years says, you know what, I'm just going to leave because the kids are gone and I'm just looking for something else. Now the other person is left distraught, betrayed. Where was the respect? Where was the love? It wasn't there. And I understand when you're leaving someone, you don't really necessarily care about that, because you won't go into a divorce court and hear someone say they want half their love back. It's irrelevant. You're not going to say they want half the respect they gave the other person back. It's irrelevant. Because at that point, it's all about material things. Money. Love and respect are out the window. But let's talk about the positive side now. So we're not getting divorced. We're not breaking up. We're in this relationship and we're trying to make the relationship better. We're trying to make the relationship work. We're having a lot of fights. We're bickering a lot, and we're not having any progress toward our growth in our relationship. What do we do? And the answer is you need to learn how to fight. I'm not talking about take martial arts class or go to the gun range and get some BB guns. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you need to learn how to have a proper argument where both people leave feeling good about it. For me, I don't call them arguments. I call them a conversation. We're just having a conversation. I don't need to raise my voice. I don't need to swear. I can have a conversation the way I'm having a conversation right now to all y'all and just simply say what is on my mind. You could say what's on my mind, and then what I do after you say what's on your mind, I'm going to give you the answer that you either like or you dislike. And whether you dislike it is of no concern to me. Oh, what? What you say? Yes. Whatever is my truth, I'm going to tell you my truth. Because I'm not going to play coy or timid. I'm going to let you know how exactly it is. I'm not going to tiptoe around and try not to hurt your feelings. That is not what I'm about to do. So that means I'm going to tell you what is going on. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, all right, that's cool. You don't have to like everything I do. And the other person doesn't have to like everything you do. But after that conversation, both parties have some time now because we talked about it. We worked it out a little bit. And now they have some time to peruse their thoughts, to understand, okay, that's their mindset. Okay, that's how they think. That's what they're going to do. What will I do? What will I do? Am I going to be the person to change? Am I going to be the person to give in? Am I going to be the person to keep doing what I'm doing and just kind of ignore that area? That's like a no-go zone. We don't talk about that. We don't do that. And that's fine. Whatever you do to compromise or work out the situation. But if someone's going to keep hitting you where it hurts, maybe that person doesn't care about you. Maybe that person doesn't respect you. So for example, because examples are always good, let's say I don't like going to the mall, right? I don't like going to the mall. And the person I'm going out with loves going to the mall. And so we compromise. We say, okay, I'll go to the mall once a month with you because I understand you love going to the mall and I want to spend time with you. And I think I can spend one day out of the month going to the mall with you. Okay. So we go to the mall once a month. Everything's good. But now, one day, it's only a week after we got back from the mall. So I already went my month. And you say, well, I want to go to the mall and I need you to come with me. Well, I don't like going to the mall. We already went to the mall last week. I'm not going to the mall again. And though this argument seems so trivial, it's a big argument. So you're not going to do the things that I love, the things that I like. You just don't care about me. You just want me to go out, and what happens if someone steals me or, I get in a car accident? You're just going to let me go, right? So now it's getting a little bit more heated. Well, you don't have to go to the mall. You could just stay here. And it's a constant argument back and forth. Now you're in a crazy cycle. So that crazy cycle can be avoided. How is it avoided? You have to work it out with that person because there's no correct answer to how you deal with the crazy cycle because it does depend on the person. Because if the person is going to be unreasonable, then you have to be able to deal with that unreasonable type of personality. So in that situation, what would I do? I would simply say, listen, I understand you want me to go to the mall and today I had different plans. If you did, you don't need to lie. But if you had different plans or a different agenda, just say, hey, I have a different plan, a different agenda, and this is what I plan on doing with my time today. Do you respect that? Yes or no? And giving them an ultimatum, a yes or no ultimatum, is going to allow them to say, wait, will I respect that? Or if they're going to be bitter or upset, then they're going to say, no, I don't appreciate you doing that. Or so, like they're going to have more argument. And at that point, you simply go, okay, I understand, right? And you continue doing what you're doing because they're not listening to you at that point. Man or woman, doesn't matter. They're not listening to you. So why should you listen to them? And when they calm down in a few days, it might take longer. It could take months. But maybe you don't have months, right? So let's say weeks. And you can bring back up this, not to start a fight, but to say, remember when that happened? And I said this and you said that. How do you think that made me feel? That's only when they're not in a heat of rage, because then it's going to help them identify, wow, I was being unreasonable, or wow, I was in a crazy cycle. So if you can help someone identify when they're doing that, then they're going to say, oh, wait, I did that? Like, I can't believe I did that. And that could be done in every aspect of your relationship. If you're having some type of discrepancy, some type of dilemma, challenge, miscommunication problem, you can address it by simply identifying what was the root cause. What was the initial problem? Why did this whole thing have to start? And I know some people could say, well, you could have simply just got up and went to the mall and just shut up. Yeah, it's very possible. You could have. But that is not what I tell my gentlemen to do. I don't do that. Our first book this month was talking about masculine positivity. We're not about to conform to someone else's desires and ideals that don't serve us, that don't bring us any benefit. So if that is a value that you need to have in a person, then you better make sure on your first dates, when you're asking, what do you like to do? You say, do you like going to the mall? And if it's yes, you say, cool, we can keep on dating. And if it's no, you say, well, it's nice to see you. You don't have to leave right then and there. You can literally have the whole date and the whole conversation. And then just understand that this person is not the right match for you. And it's okay to understand the person is not fit to be in a relationship with you. Because I would rather you go on a date with a person and say, this person is not for me. And then call it quits. And you could tell the person, right? You could say, I really had a good time. I don't think it's going to work between you and me as a relationship. You are a lovely person. I think you'll make a great friend. But anything more than that, I don't think it's going to work. And that can be both men and women. You can say that to both. That's not a friend zone. That's literally saying we just have a difference in opinion. Because most likely, if you say that to someone, they're going to say, I understand, not a problem. And they're going to move on. You're not going to be friends. You're not going to be hanging out. And it does happen, right? There's some gentlemen more so than women will say, not a problem. We could be friends and we could just go out and we could just hang out. And he's in the friend zone. And I don't want you, and I don't want my gentleman in that friend zone. You don't need to be there. You gain nothing from being in the friend zone. because you have more opportunity with other women than you would being in a friend zone. And we're getting away and we're detracting from the book again. But that is what the book is telling you, right? To find someone, have a cycle, or to have a conversation, find the values, understand their situation, looking through their glasses versus your own glasses, getting out or limiting the crazy cycle as soon as possible in communication. There's a lot that goes into relationships. And in the book, they talk about relationships that are on the brink of ending, marriages. And were in it, and they're fighting. Nothing feels good anymore. So they simply say, I'm just going to call it quits. I don't want to be in this relationship because nothing's going to come from it. I'm just not happy in this relationship. This person doesn't do what I want, etc., right? We start listing the excuses, the reasons. But those reasons are just the ideas you're putting in the front of your mind. Because that person probably does some good things. They probably have done many good things for you. And you probably have many more good things to come. However, that thought of all the things they do wrong is going to stop you from experiencing those other thoughts. And it's important to be able to understand what is truly important to you. Because we tell ourselves lies on a consistent basis. And eventually our lies become truth. And we don't see our lies until it's too late, typically. Or if someone points them out. For me, I love pointing out, not necessarily love, but I will point out every lie someone is telling themselves. Because it's not going to serve them. And they're contradicting their mindset. It's that but. I want to love him, but. She is the girl of my dreams, but. It's that but that's stopping you. In your relationship, in your marriage, in your dating life. But. He does everything good, but. He can have 9 out of the 10 qualities that you want, and that 10 quality is that but, and it's enough to say, you know what, those other 9 qualities don't matter. But for me, when I say, if you have 10 qualities you're looking for in a relationship, and let's say you only find 4 in someone, right? So you find 4 of the qualities you enjoy in someone. You say, wow, I really like this mix. And you decide to have a relationship. If it's a guy, he's going to go out and he's going to see a girl with those 6 qualities that he's missing. He's going to say, shoot, she got the other 6 qualities that I'm missing that my other girl doesn't have. So I'm just going to have both because I want to have all my qualities. And so he goes out and he gets the girl with the 6 qualities. He's cheating at this point, right? Or he's stepping out. But what's happening? Is he getting rid of his 4 quality girl for the 6 quality girl? Or are those 4 qualities more valuable than the 6 qualities the other girl has? And I see that a lot in dating, in gentlemen who are going out and they're cheating, or going out and exercising polygamy, basically, right? Or where they're not getting married, they're just exercising their royal oats or whatever that you want to call it. It's not wrong to think that way. But what I want you to think about is, yes, she has those 6 qualities that my girl doesn't have, but she's missing the one quality that my girl has that she doesn't have. And we're not talking about this girl has the same qualities and then 2 more or 3 more. They're just the 6 missing qualities. And that's what we see when we're stepping out. We say, oh, that person has this that my person doesn't have, and I like that. My person is not as in shape as this person, but this person is. I like that. This person has great hair and my person doesn't. I like that. So we give ourselves a reason, an excuse, something to say, oh, that is what I think I want. And when you're talking about a relationship on the premise of what I think you want or I feel, that's 100% going to be a feeling that may or may not be your truth. It's a momentary type of thing. And I see many women who are leaving perfectly good traditional men because they feel a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with feeling a certain way, but at the same time, the reason why you do it, is it because of your feelings, or is it because you were never really in the relationship? And maybe you were never really in the relationship. And at that point, that's going to be the man's mistake, or the woman's mistake, right? Like, depending on the situation. Because if someone's not able to tell if they're in it for the long haul, for the, for the lifetime, that's bad vetting. And I like to work with people I like to work with. That's why if I have a conversation with a client, if I have an interview, or friends, family, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to associate with people that do not bring some type of inherent value. In any relationship, you should understand that too. Because if that person is going to bring you value, you're going to love and you're going to respect them for that. But if they do not, you're going to disdain and you're going to hate. You're going to disrespect and you're going to betray. And I understand midlife crisis and hormone changes and hot girl summer, whatever. Whatever you want your belief to be, that's going to be what you're going to be focusing on. In this book, Love and Respect helps you identify the problems that you surely might have been dealing with and how they dealt with it. And it was very religious in some aspects, like leave it to God, just pray, and things will be okay. For me, I'm more of a reality-based type person. Like, what can we do today? Because we're not going to hope and we're not going to pray. And I'm not saying you can't hope and you can't pray, but in order for us to get the results that we want, we need to have some type of action, some type of plan. And that plan in your relationship, or that action in your relationship, is going to be very direct. It's going to tell the person how you truly feel. And then when you tell them how you feel, now you have an understanding of where they are, how they see the world. And you may or may not compromise and say, okay, cool, this is how it's going to be now. But the moment, and I mean the moment, they say something that contradicts what they said on that first day, you make sure you tell them immediately. Because then it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks. They're going to say, "What? You're right. I did say that." And I think that type of conversation and that epiphany at that moment is going to be very powerful. And I notice relationships that have that last. It's because someone was listening and they realized that, yeah, I did say that. And he just repeated what I said, or she just repeated what I said, and it contradicts what I just currently said. So who was wrong? The first time or the second time? Most of the time, it's not going to be the first. So it's the second time. Because stress, emotion, it might come in and you're like, I'm going to say this because it goes against maybe what they're doing now. Just to have that argument, for argument's sake. So, great book if you're having the thought in your head, what are we doing? Like, really, like, what are we doing with our life? Like, we should just call it quits and you should just go on your way and I should just go on my way and we both can be happy. If you're having that thought, this book, great book to read. Because it doesn't necessarily take away your problems. It gives you tools to address your problems in your different situations you could have in your relationships. And for me, I'm an advocate of having several tools, multiple tools for different occasions. You could never have enough tools in your toolbox. And I'm not talking about the chest in the garage or in your workshop. I'm talking about in your mind. Become equipped with knowledge, wisdom, and determine what's going to work for you. And after you have done that, then and only then, you're going to be on the way to having what you truly want, whether it be in a relationship, in your career, in your life, right? In general. Understand that, because the tools that you acquired, you can now use to build the empire, to build the life that you most desire. And it starts with you, and it depends on you. So do not allow yourself to get tired, complacent, angry at the world, angry at a person because they may have done you wrong. Just simply understand where you are and where you want to be in every aspect of your life. And you're going to know that end goal can be reached. It's just going to require a certain amount of work, a certain amount of effort, and a certain amount of discipline. So get those three things. Love and respect, great book. Want to read it if you're in a relationship, especially if you're in a marriage that's going wrong. But not in the sense of, oh, she or he sent me divorce papers. It's kind of too late at that point. You're more going to want to do it at an early age or early time in your relationship. So we're going to call it a quits there. We're going to have our next episode on Friday. And it's going to be, again, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you have any questions in the meantime, please email me at coachinginsession@gmail.com. Feel free to, in the email, ask me if you want, things to be kept private. So like if you just want some quick tips or some quick advice, you could do that. If it's something good, I will ask for permission and say, hey, can I share this on the show? I don't necessarily want to share anything that might make you feel uncomfortable. And I typically would never, ever say that your name, or I'll always make up a name. So if your name is, let's say your name is Smith. I'm going to call you Steven. Maybe you like Steven. I don't know. But regardless, email me if you have any questions. If you ever join in the future, feel free to have any questions in chat. I'll always answer those questions. And until then, I will see you Friday.